Hey everybody, today I'm going to show you guys how to 3D print a screen or a strainer and how to customize it to your needs. So I'm going to be designing myself a strainer for the resin 3D printer. Basically, I just don't want any small cured particles to make their way back into my container as I pour it back in there. And for that, I'm going to be starting with a revolve base, and I'm going to start with the front plane. So first steps, I'm going to make a construction line. The most important part of this design is to make sure that this is the same as your layer height. So this bottom thickness, I'm going to set it to 0.2 millimeters. That's the layer height that I'm going to be going with. Then I can make this maybe about 2 millimeters thick. Actually, I'm going to change that to 1.5. This angle, I want it to be around 60 degrees. And this part right here, which is going to be the outer diameter, I'm gonna have this at 10. Then I'm gonna make this 25 tall, and that's pretty much all I need to do with this. As soon as I come out, it should revolve automatically, and this is my geometry. So once you have your geometry, you will be moving to your slicer. Okay, so now that I'm on my slicer, I'm going to import my file and orientate it correctly. Next, what I want to do is I want to center the piece. If you guys are using Prusa slicer, these things will be very similar. This bamboo slicer is just a reskinned version of Prusa slicer. If you are using Cura, let me know and I will make a tutorial on how you can do this in Cura as well. But if you're using Prusa slicer, this is what you want to do. Then you come here and make sure that the first layer height is the same as the thickness of the bottom piece. Remember, we set it to 0.2 millimeters, and that's what I have it here. Next, I want to make sure that the first layer is also kind of what I want. I'll just set it at 0.4 millimeters as that's my nozzle size. Then what you want to do is you want to come right here and add a modifier, and I'm going to add a cylinder modifier. So as you can see, this will tell me to switch to per model settings. This is kind of be the same in Prusa Slicer, but in Cura, this will be slightly different. So what you want to do is you want to create the modifier, and then you want to center it on the piece. If you're using Bamboo Slicer, that's how you do it. I think it's the same in Prusa Slicer. So then what I want to do is I want to come to my CAD file and check this inner diameter. So in my case, it's 16.76, but the decimals don't matter. What you want to do is you want to make it slightly larger, maybe about a millimeter or so larger. So I'm going to put it at 17.5. So then what you want to make sure that is that this intersects the model. So I'm going to lower it down slightly to make sure that it intersecting my model, and go to the cylinder settings and remove and reduce the top and bottom shell layers to 0. Then what you can do is you can just create your screen using the infill settings. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set this to 80% at grid, and let's have a look at how it looks. So doing that, this is kind of the screen that I get. From the bottom, what you want to make sure is that this circular layer is kind of overlapping the mesh slightly. That's why we oversized the little cylinder. All right, so the other thing you can do is you can kind of change these patterns. So let me try the tri-hexagonal infill pattern. Looking at this, that's how that's gonna look. Let's try the triangles and see if that's gonna give us anything different. So the triangles will look like this. Actually, I think I like this pattern a lot, and I will just go with this one. And lastly, what I want to look at is, as you can see, there is a very thin useless layer in the middle. So what I want to try is I want to remove one of the wall loops and go back to only one. And as you can see, that also removed one last wall loop. All right, so now that everything is done, I'm going to come here to print it. I will leave all these settings the same and just change the plastic to this colorful one and send it off to get printed.